and decided to do something a little different. So normally I talk about Black women and toxic jobs. And I said, you know what? I want to try something different because there's such heaviness going on in the world. And I said, you know what? I want to do like a palette uh, cleanser, kind of like a palette reset, like a something light. And I also wanted to really connect to, for us, what do we find to be healing? Because I think right now, as Black women, we really need to connect to what is healing for us. So I was just thinking about what do I do to help heal myself? And I have been really leaning into that. And I can imagine you've been leaning into that. And I was talking to Janice, and Janice, we were talking about her garden. And she said she likes to garden. I said, I like to garden too. I love to garden. And she showed me about her
Mhm.
garden, and I was like amazed by her garden. So amazed by it. And I said, you know, I have an idea. What about if we do like a split screen about I'm in my garden and you're in your garden. So I'm in California, she's in Antigua. And if we do like a split screen of both of us in our garden, because gardening is healing. And for me, also, gardening is not only healing for me individually, I feel like it's a form of ancestral healing because I think about, particularly in the United States, how as Black people that we weren't allowed to own land and we had to work the land and we weren't
Mhm.
able to eat healthy. So for me, it's a form of ancestral healing that, you know, our family owns the land and we eat from the land. And so for me, it is very healing on that level as well. So that is what gardening does for me in terms of healing. So I'm going to turn it over to Janice for her to introduce herself. And then Janice is, hey, Pamela. And then Janice is going to take us on a tour of her garden in Antigua. And I cannot wait for you to see it. I was amazed. Well, I was like, girl, that is not a garden. That's like a farm. Okay. So again, I hope that this is the beginning of many videos that I do that talk about other ways that we can heal and not only talk about it, but
Mm.
actually show it. So, Janice, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Dr. Kamani. Janice Sutherland. And as you can tell by my accent, I am English born, but I have lived in the
Uh-oh.
say about you because when we moved here, we just bought a plot of land. So we built the house. Every single tree in this garden has been mainly me, but both of us, my husband and I, and we have a lot of food trees because the ones my husband's Jamaican descent stipulation he had about we grow is that every tree must feed. So yeah, so, and it's become, and I think we didn't realize 14 years on exactly what that would look like. So now we're reaping the benefits. And then I set myself the goal this year of I think during COVID, as probably take a step back, as an island, we import majority of our food
Hmm.
is imported. So
Mm-hmm.
it's also very expensive. And, it's not that I'm a health freak, but some of these food has traveled thousands of miles. And,
Mm-hmm.
you can tell when sometimes the bananas, for instance, have
Yeah. So, yeah.
and also I suppose the bill, because I find I actually grow the majority of our vegetables now, which is great.
Wow. Wow. So I'm sitting under my peach tree, everybody. So you might see a lot of peaches. And in fact, the peaches are so ripe, you might actually see some peaches like fall on me. I hope they don't fall on my head. But anyway, I'm
Uh,
sitting under my peach tree. But Janice has so many different types of fruits and vegetables, like some I've never even heard of before. So, first, maybe Janice, can you share with the audience? Because I know we've talked offline, what are some of the ways that gardening, because you talked about you want to eat healthier, but what have some of the ways that gardening has served in your life? Because for me, I've talked about it's been very healing. What has gardening done for you in terms of healing as well?
I thought about this question, and there's quite a lot apart from the healing that gardening has taught me.
Hmm.
I've definitely evolved over the past few years. I'm not a born gardener. My mom had green fingers, so she grew pot plants, but I find it's my solitude time. So it's the time where I can just focus on one particular aspect of something. And I think there's nothing than seeing something that you have taken from a seed go to fruit
Mm,
or grow. But to know that the failures, because there are lots of failures in gardening, and you're up against a lot with the pests and the weather. It's very hot here. We're in a drought country, so there's lots of challenges. Something goes wrong one time, what do you do differently next time?
hmm.
How do you learn about it? So it's all that, and I guess it's nothing more satisfying than knowing when you look at the plate of food that you've grown everything,
Yeah.
pretty much everything, apart from
Hmm.
apart from the animal protein. We haven't quite stretched to animals
Okay.
yet. I don't think we can. I don't think we can probably in the area we live in.
Hmm.
But no, we've got the dogs, but I can't eat the dogs, right?
Let's not even bring that up. Right. Yeah.
And then no, that's my secure. They're my security. But
Uh-huh.
I do find it very therapeutic, especially in the mornings, checking on the plants, looking at what's happened, what
Hmm.
can I do differently, watching the bees. Sometimes I just watch the hummingbirds
Yeah.
and the bees, with the pollen, and it's just there's
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
that I get from it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I even find that like it's almost like meditative to me. Like not only
Yeah,
planting things, because we talked about this too, right? So you talked about you don't really like the dirt, right? And you use gloves, right? But I love being in the
yeah,
dirt. I love it, right? I love the feel of it. And like when I get a new plant, because I love to plant like collards and kale. And when I
yeah,
plant,
yeah,
I always say, "Welcome to our home, welcome to our family." I feel like I'm nurturing a
yeah,
new plant to our family, right? So it's like almost like a ritual, and I
yeah.
love to do that. I love to do that. So it's like I'm connecting to the earth, but then when I'm watering, it's like meditative because I don't like to hear any sound. I just like to hear the
Mm,
water falling down
yes.
because my mind is
Yeah,
always running, right?
yeah,
And so it allows me to
yeah,
just
yeah,
be quiet
yeah,
and just hear the water falling, and that is just so,
yeah,
like, grounding for me.
yeah, yeah. For me it's the germination. When for seeds, I love to
Mhm.
see when they germinate. Like I just sowed some corn a couple of days ago, and nothing makes me more happy than saying, "Oh, the corn's here, the corn's here, they're popping up." To know that I suppose you've given life.
Yeah,
You create something, and then just making sure I nurture the garden. And I said, "No, I haven't quite got to singing, but I do talk to it. I
okay,
do talk to the garden and ask what's up, what's up. If I look
okay,
at a plant to a like I look at my cucumbers today and go, okay, why aren't you happy? What's going on? The Maya lemon, try something different. So yes, so I do have a chat, and my husband knows if I'm in there, he just leaves me unless I only call if I need help. If I
okay,
need help with something. But I just like to spend that time and looking at the plants and what's the challenge today? What can I grow differently? I said to you
mhm,
when I do my morning walks, because I walk a lot, and then
mhm,
sometimes I see a plant and I always have a little pair of snippers in my bag, and
mhm.
I'll snip a cutting. And come home and okay, that's the challenge. Let me see how I can grow that. My husband goes, we've got limited space. You do know we don't have where you go can make something happen. So I just love to see that happening.
Yeah, it makes life exciting, right? Like the possibilities and just being
Mm,
curious and just
yeah.
reminding us that just life is going on every day. Right? So when we think about
Mm,
like all
mm,
the craziness going on in the world, sometimes we get bogged down with that, but it's also
yeah.
healthy and I think healing to remind us of the basics, right? Like plants, like what's growing, what's happening in the here
Mm,
and now, and what we have control over. Because if we keep focusing on all this
yeah.
other nonsense, it feels overwhelming. You feel helpless. You feel hopeless. So for me,
Mm,
it's another way to
mm,
feel kind of grounded again about what we can control. You
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely,
So
definitely.
Janice, what are you gonna show us today? Because like I said, I was like, "Girl, that's not a garden, that's a farm."
Oh,
Okay.
let me turn the camera. So I'm going to turn the camera. Okay, so yeah, I'll start going this way round. The garden is split into two parts. So I have I'm going to call it an orchard today. I'm going to label it as an orchard. That's what I'm going to
Okay,
call it. The
okay.
orchard side, and then I have the vegetable growing side because I have to separate it off from the dogs. So along the fence here, then you can see all the way down the fence. This is actually one plant going along the fence, and it's passion fruit.
Wow.
So, and it has the most beautiful, beautiful flowers there. So that will turn into a passion fruit. I've already picked most of the fruits that were here, but I can see there are a lot more flowers coming up now. So you'll have lots of bees pollinating, and all these will turn into fruit, hopefully. So
I
all
love
along the
passion fruit.
fence here.
So yeah, passion fruit, and everybody, Janice is tuning in from Antigua. So we're just,
Fig.
and what's
Oh,
that,
see
Janice?
figs. There's a fig. This is
Figs?
fig. This is a
Okay.
figs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
But it's going to drop in and out by the look of it, so I'll be here.
Okay.
But
That's fine.
this is moringa, moringa.
Moring
So, but every
Moringa?
moringa, and I think they
What's
call it the
that?
tree of life. I think they call it the tree of life. But literally everything on this tree you can eat. It has um, very medicinal qualities, like the
Mm-hmm.
seed pods. Before that, these aren't dried. The flowers, the leaves. We dry the leaves and use it as a vitamin. In cereal, in our cereal and stuff like. There's a lot more you can do with it. Apparently, I just haven't got into it as yet. Pods dry, like over here, the
Mm-hmm.
pods are dried, you can actually, so there's seeds in there, and you take the seed out and you can eat the seed. And actually, when you drink some water after you've eaten it, it has a little sweet taste to it. So yeah, it's really nice. I can see some people say they know moringa. They're saying yes to
Yeah,
moringas. That's
she does
great.
look like, yeah, many use the
Yeah,
benefits. I never heard of it
yeah,
before.
yeah. This is ackee. This tree's an ackee
Ackee?
tree. Now,
Okay.
yeah, it's a usually Jamaican dish. Usually people talk about ackee and saltfish.
Uh-huh, I've heard of
Um,
that.
I actually picked about 20 pounds of ackee the last week. So you have to wait till these open, and inside is the ackee. So there's nothing open right now because I just picked it all off the tree. But again,
You
like I
said
said,
20
all of these
pounds,
trees.
Janice?
Yeah, yeah,
What?
about 20
Wow.
pounds, and you have to prepare it. It takes a bit of time to prepare it because there's a particular way to stop it being poison. Apparently, it's poisonous if you don't prepare it right.
Okay.
But you see, we've got company here. That's Lulu,
Uh-huh.
right? So this is Aki, and behind it, I've just cut this tree back. This is mango. It's
Ooh, that's huge. That's a mango tree? Wow,
use the
that's huge.
fruit. Yeah. This is custard apple. So
Custard
this is one of my
apple?
favorite fruit. Yeah,
What
it's
is
one of my
custard
favorite
apple?
fruits.
What is custard apple?
So that's um I don't know the best way to describe it, but when they get ripe, this fruit gets ripe, you
Uh-huh.
open it and it has like little yellow pegs inside with seeds, and it's the sweetest. Oh my gosh, it's lovely. It's one of my
Is it like a
favorite
regular apple?
sugar apple. This actually might be sugar apple because it chamoya. From the chamoya. is what they're
Hmm.
called, and they got different ones. And this is sugar apple as opposed to custard apple. But these will get quite
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I've never had that, but I definitely need to
they've got
try that
lots
'cause
of
I've never had
seeds.
that.
Yeah, they've got lots of seed. They've got lots of
Okay.
seeds.
Okay.
So then coming across the garden,
Okay.
that's down
And I see
here.
Marissa's joined us. Hey, Marissa. Good to see
Uh,
you.
Pomegranate, but it's having a hard time at the moment. I need to nurture a little bit more. I've not been the most diligent with it this year, but you can see
Okay.
there's some pomegranates on here.
Okay.
This tree, this tree with gorgeous flowers is frangipani.
What is
Now,
that?
apparently, frangipani. It has them. Usually, I've actually never seen it get this big, because usually all the leaves, it becomes part of a circle of life. There's a huge caterpillar. I think it might be like the monarch, one of those big caterpillars.
Mm-hmm.
Usually come and strip it of all its leaves. So to see it this size, this huge, is the biggest I've ever seen it. But it has the most prettiest flowers,
Oh,
and they're
that is
very
beautiful.
fragrant and they're very fragrant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, because this is the one tree that doesn't have fruit,
Oh,
doesn't give us food,
okay.
but it's right next to this avocado. Now, we planted this, as I said, as we got here about 14 years, and it only
Mm-hmm.
just started fruiting the past 2 years. So we've got some.
Mm.
Look at my avocados. Look at my
Oh my gosh.
avocados.
Oh my gosh. Those are humongous.
Yeah, these are West Indian
Wow.
avocados. So, and the tree, what I learned is that the tree only fruits biannually.
Okay.
So it may give it this is we've got a good harvest this year, but
Mm-hmm.
next year it may be pretty light. So yeah,
Ah,
so I'm
okay.
really looking forward, and I've had to take my time because it doesn't. What I learned is that they don't ripen on the tree,
Hmm.
so you have to keep trying them. So I've just tested one about a week ago to ripen, and it's ready.
Hmm.
So I am ecstatic.
Wow.
Um, Over here is soursop. Well,
Soursop?
soursop or I think they call it guabano.
Okay.
We know it's soursop. So I
Okay.
can't see any here.
What
Oh,
does
here
that
we go.
taste like, Janice?
Very sweet. Again,
Oh,
gorgeous. Lots of
okay.
seeds, but very sweet. Again, you use it in smoothies. You can make it in
Mm-hmm.
cakes.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually had to put them in nets to stop any pests getting on them. But
Mm.
this is fruited really well this year. But I can't even get to see if you can see it. It's all the way up there. I don't know if you can see it. See the
No,
tree?
I don't see it.
Little spiky fruits. The low ones
Okay.
are. This was in a bag. You won't see them. I put the low ones in bags, but they're like a spiky fruit just in
Oh,
there.
okay. So you put
Yeah,
them in the
big
bag
spiky.
to protect it from the pests?
The pets there from the
Okay.
pests. Yeah,
Okay.
and then we have a bitter
Bitter
lemon
lemon?
tree. Yeah, it's a bitter lemon, bitter orange. You can't eat them,
Oh,
but people use them for cleaning and stuff like that. It is part of the orange tree of the
okay.
citrus family, but
Okay.
yeah, it's not for me. You can't eat it.
Okay.
And then up here is the humongous, and you can see it,
Uh,
breadfruit. This is breadfruit. Now, breadfruit is they're very huge fruits. And you can see them on here. I'll go inside. Huge fruits. If you can see them on the tree, huge fruits, but they're more of a starch. So
mhm.
they're like a potato substitute. So
Mhm.
you can roast them, you can fry them, you can boil them, you can mash them.
Mm,
We've been getting a fruit, an average size, 5 to 6 pounds in a
mm,
fruit as a
mhm.
size. So that's been pretty big. And then this year I started expanding the garden for vegetables. So as I said, this is one of my new corn packs. So I've got corn starting to grow here and melons.
Okay.
And then over here I have aubergines, eggplants. I have more corn I'm experimenting with just here.
Mhm.
And then one thing I always try and do is that you don't have to go out and buy seeds or rush out and buy things. I always try experimenting. This is a peanut. These are peanuts.
Peanuts. Wow.
Regular,
Okay.
regular peanut. I knew peanuts were ground nuts and they grow in the ground, but I didn't know how
Mhm.
they grow. So
Okay.
I just bought a packet of raw peanuts and
Hmm.
planted them. Now I know they're too close together, so I didn't think they'd get this big. So next time I'll know what to do differently. But I'm hoping to get some groundnuts
Okay.
this year. So that'll be my first foray into that. And then the
Okay.
second part of the garden, as I said, there's a kind of the vegetable garden side. These are all green. These are all beans across here.
Hmm.
I believe Jack and the Beanstalk. I believe the story now. These are only 7 plants.
Are those like green
These are only
beans?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Only 7 plants. And then here, so I cordon it off in the garden. So I've been making new beds. So because it's been so hot, we
Hmm.
can't grow too much this time of year. But now coming into September, October, coming into our winter, which
Hmm.
is why you'll see me having lots of seed trays coming up now. I'm getting my seedlings ready for this upcoming weather. So this is my herb patch. So herbs across here. I've got a variety of herbs, sage and stevia and thyme and Cuban oregano. Trying to grow onions, scallion,
Oh, you tell me about that,
chives.
right? You
Yeah,
said you're on a
chives over
mission to
here.
get some onions.
I am on a mission to get some onions. Onion seedlings are down here. So I'm nurturing them like babies right now. Yeah,
Hmm.
so they need to be a little bit bigger. Cucumbers. So this is cucumber across here. You can
Hmm.
see some cucumbers just there. You can see one. Oh, there he is. See cucumbers just here. Maya lemon, and we have okra across here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Across here, we have roselle, sorrel.
So, oh,
So
that's what
it's like
that they put in the drink, right? Like the
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Okay. I've had that.
yes. So yes, so growing that for Christmas. Some
Hmm.
peppers, beans, some zucchini across here. Zucchinis across here.
Hmm.
Bananas. There's bananas.
Banana.
In fact, my neighbours just gave me some Hannah bananas this morning, so that's quite
Okay.
nice. And they're growing papayas over there, but I don't like papaya very much, to be honest. I'm
Huh.
not a fan. Um, and then we have coconuts, coconut trees. Back, just around the back of the side here.
Janice, do you guys eat all this food?
To
Because
dig
that's
them
a
up.
lot of.
Well, to empty them out.
Do you guys eat all this food, or do you end up giving it away? Because it just seems like that's a lot.
Um, it looks like a lot, but it's not as much as you think. One of the things this has led into for me is learning how to preserve the food because I
Ah.
can't grow it all year round.
Hmm.
So some of this will get frozen, some will get used.
Okay.
There's succession planting, so this lot of sweet potato over here won't be ready at the same time.
Hmm.
More zucchini, more cucumber. I'm going to learn how to grow pineapples across here.
Oh.
This is butternut squash,
Okay.
turmeric. And again, from a seed perspective, you don't have to go out buying seeds. I like to grow things from what I've eaten. So you'll see
Mm.
me sometimes collecting seeds. Like when we went to Italy last year, I
Hmm.
saw some beautiful tomatoes and I found there's a squash tomato in the marketplace. Don't judge me. And I collected the seeds. And so I've got some tomato seedlings coming up. Have to baby them a little bit. Got my tomato seedlings just there. They grew.
So
So
you
I've got
rescue
tomato
you
seedlings.
rescued some seeds from Italy. Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
Is that what you're
Yes, I
sharing?
did.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm sharing. So they and even peppers. These are peppers that seedlings that are grown from sweet peppers I get from when I bought a sweet pepper. You just grow the seeds, so you don't have to go to the expense of running out. All this has been grown over the years. It's become a little bit obsessive, if I'm honest.
Hmm.
I'm not going to lie, but I love it. And then over here, this is
Cocoa
cocoa
like
palms.
chocolate?
Yes,
Like
cocoa trees. Yes.
Mm.
So got to find some. Hence my husband's replies. Where are you going to plant them, Janice? So yeah, I have a few. I have a few, and then pineapple. These are pineapple tots. I've started growing pineapple to try and
Wow.
grow some pineapples. So yeah.
Okay.
So this part of the garden is like it's the new part, and this across here is my garden. It's my garden room. It's Ruth's place. It's dedicated to my mum because she was the green fingered one. So
Oh.
she's the one that I kind of just I want to do something to honor her, and
Uh-huh.
it was going to be. I didn't want to buy a whole new land or something like that, but I did want a building. So this is my little workshop, garden shed, she shed, everything shed. And behind it, what I'm in the process of doing now, I had the idea literally last night, is I want to make a tea garden.
A
So
tea
it's a bit
garden.
rough. Yeah, so usually behind here, this is my rough bit. So I've got like my compost. It's the bit where people don't see. It's not my public bit. But then I
Okay.
realised what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
I've started to grow ginger. Like this is ginger
Okay.
here and hibiscus, and I've got mint over there and lemongrass and more mint. So I'm actually going, whereas this is going to be like my resting ground for plants and pots, I'm actually going to turn it into a bit of a tea garden and have like my more herb teas or drinking
Oh,
herbs or, so rosemary. So I've got a little rosemary plant here that I've nurtured, you know, and
wow.
and even things like this is celery. I've started experimenting with dragon fruit. So these are dragon fruit cuttings. I've got dragon fruit and grapevines to go along the side
Mhm.
of the fence. So again, haven't spent a lot of money on it,
Mhm.
but just to find ways to do it. So that's
Mhm.
really the garden. So just to, you know, if you want to start, if someone's thinking, you want to start and how do I start? Just start with something
Mhm.
simple. Just get a
Mhm.
pot, get a couple
Mhm.
of seeds of
Mhm.
something that you like. My ethos is to plant what I eat
Mhm.
because there's no point because you can grow it, you can try and grow it, but then at the end, but the half the joy is knowing that I've grown this. What I'm eating, I've grown.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's a labor of love, and I
Yeah.
must admit, I didn't realize when I was embarking on this and how rewarding and how I suppose I want to say there's an element of control, but you don't have control. It's
Mm.
like but it's control that you're willing to relinquish because you want to you plant something and then you think, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to water, I'm going to nurture it, and then you come in the next day and I'm like, what happened? It's dead. Why is it
Mhm.
like that? And then
Mhm.
you go down the road of trying to work out what went wrong. Whereas
Mhm.
sometimes, and I liken it sometimes being at work because sometimes things go wrong, they're out of your control, but then
True.
you have no control because of things that are happening to you.
Mhm.
Whereas we're in the garden, yes, it can be out of my control, but I know there's a problem I can solve. I can
True.
actually get to it and I can find the solution and the solution's down to me. And then when I
Mhm.
find it, I will reap the reward of finding it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yes. So
Yeah.
yes, so I love being out here. It is my little safe space. It's probably
Yeah.
and
And
it's just got
Janice,
bigger and bigger.
yes, and I love what you said about it doesn't even cost a lot of money, right?
No,
So sometimes when we think about doing things, the expectation is, oh, I don't have the money. It's too much, it's gonna take too much time. But what we're talking about is starting small. You said like from
yeah,
stuff you eat. Like if you eat
yeah,
something and there's a seed, you can use a
yeah.
seed and plant the seed. So it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be like this big extravagant thing, but it's
That's
small things
all.
that we can do. Yeah.
That's all. That's all. And I think I also shared with you as well. You can know bet your bottom dollar your friend grows plants. They may not reveal it to the main, they make, but if someone's got a little secret house plant somewhere that they're nurturing, get a cutting from it. When Mum passed a couple of years ago, she grew mother-in-law's tongues. So they call
Mhm.
Dracaena. I can't remember the name for it, but they're tall, thin plants. I've never been a fan, to be honest,
Hmm.
of them, but she grew one. She had a huge one for a long time. So what we did was that we split it up and gave a piece to every member of family in
Hmm.
remembrance of mum. So I have mine. I snuck mine over here, and it's growing and it's done really well. And it's a nice reminder to know, that she's part of us still here. And the thing, and I think about it as well, when we moved over here, mom was instrumental in coming over and helping with the garden. So
Oh,
she would run round with me when we were going round snipping hedge pieces. Well, that's a nice hedge. Let's get a cutting off that. And we plant it. So it's the hedging I could see. I know she did it, or she was helping with some of the
oh,
landscaping and the rocks. So yes, it's a little remembrance of her as well.
yeah. So you still feel
Yeah.
connected to her. So not only in
Yes,
terms of you all built a garden together, also
yeah,
you created Roots Place, right?
yes, yes.
Uh-huh. And can you tell us a little bit more about Roots Place? And I saw that there was a hummingbird. Like this, is there the symbolism of the hummingbird and the
Uh,
symbolism of Roots Place? Can you share a little bit about that and what Roots Place means to you?
well, the reason I ended up in Antigua, mom was Antigua, mom was born in
Oh,
Antigua.
okay.
She left here as a very, very young child.
Okay.
Um, 3 years in, there's a whole rigmarole, but she moved from here, born here. There's a huge hurricane. The family moved to St. Kitts, which is where my grandfather originated from. And then she moved to the UK when she was 13.
Mm.
And she had never come back to her birth country till she was 16. I brought her back for her 60th birthday. She'd never
Wow.
been back. And I mean, it's quite amusing to see her shock because there was outside toilets and some of them all rural areas, and she was still in shock. But she'd be sharing stories that she'd never shared before of her
Mm,
upbringing, And then I took her over to St. Kitts, where she grew up till a teenager, to the
mhm,
village she grew up in, and the school she went to. In the church is still there. So it's all those stories that she'd never
mm,
she was so busy living life or
mhm,
lifing, having
mhm,
raising six children, working all the hours, the
mhm.
jobs. She was a Windrush babe, Windrush era. So that's when, after the Second World War in the UK, that the UK asked for, people to come to the mother country to help rebuild the UK.
What?
So so
Janice,
they all thought,
stop.
yeah,
Wait, wait.
no,
So
that's it's Windrush.
the colonizers
Yes,
asked for Black people to come to the mother
yes.
country. Oh
Yes,
God.
yes. And there's a whole
Wow.
Windrush generation. There's a whole scandal a few years back where people who'd lived in the UK 40, 50 years were told they couldn't be a citizen because they couldn't prove how they'd got there, even though they were paying their taxes, social security, all that kind of raised their
Wow.
families. People were actually deported back to a Caribbean country
Oh my
you
God.
know so she was part of the Windrush, so they were doing the jobs that the white people, the colonizers, didn't want to do. So
Mhm.
working in the
Mhm.
factories, the
Mhm.
cleaning and
Mhm.
hospitals, nursing and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So she
Mhm.
she was part of that generation.
Okay.
So she never had time, and and you'll find a lot of people that age, that generation, always talked of going back home. Always talked of going back home, but never actually got back home. They
Mm.
came to the UK to make a bit of money, you know,
Mhm.
support the mother country like they were told back at
Mhm.
home, and to go back, and they never made it. They never made it.
Wow.
So I think we regard ourselves as reverse Windrush. So
Wow.
we came back. I left just to that life, back to that life full time, and plus I suppose all the children and the grandchildren and a sister.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'd bring her back every few years. She'd come across and spend some time with us, and um,
Wow.
and it was and it was amazing to see how much she regressed when I put her in the water. How much younger she looked, how she
Oh.
reconnected with her growing up, and the memories that came back.
Mm.
Just being back, things that she had probably locked away
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow. And so when you go to Ruth's Place that's on your
yes,
property, what is that like for you
yes.
when you go to Ruth's Place?
Um, it's still new. It's still finding its way. Sometimes I ask her if she'll approve. Would she like this? I sent
Okay.
the picture to my brother. My brother said, yeah, he loves it. So there's
Oh.
still, I'm still growing into it.
Hmm.
You know, I'm still growing into it, but it's just a nice, it's just remembrance. It's just something to remember about. Even though people say, well, don't you have your memories? Yes, I do have the memories, but it's
Hmm.
just an additional connection that I
Yeah.
know she'd be proud. You know, she was always my biggest cheerleader. I could do no
Oh,
wrong. That's a
okay.
mom, isn't it? You know,
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So very supportive. And is there a
yeah.
symbolism of the hummingbird,
The
Janice?
hummingbird is just, it's Antigua. Hummingbirds are everywhere in Antigua. So, like I said, it's a hummingbird and a bougainvillea. So, I think you can't say that. I grow bougainvilleas. And when my husband and I we got engaged here when she was here for her 60th birthday. So, there's a picture I have of me and her on the beach with bougainvillea flowers in
Oh.
our ears, you know, celebrating because she was just so happy that I'd found someone who could treat me right, you
Oh.
know. So, you know, it's my second marriage and all the challenge of the first marriage and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so the bougainvillea and the hummingbird, yeah, just, yeah,
Wow. 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 So Janice, first of all, thank you for showing us your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful garden, right?
you're
And
welcome.
if there's a Black woman who's watching right now and she's like, yeah, but she's got all that land, or yeah, but I'm too busy, or yeah, but like there's a yeah, but to this, right? So she's hearing us talk about gardening, right? Like I'm under my peach tree. I got peaches right here that I could
Yeah.
pick right now, right?
Oh,
But
envious.
feeling like it's not accessible to her, right? Feeling it's not accessible. What can you say to her so that she knows that gardening is accessible to her and that gardening is healing, can be healing for her too? What would you say to
It
her?
doesn't it doesn't have to be a huge garden. I know people who have patio gardens, little balcony gardens, or just get a pot plant or a cutting and just take some 10, 15 minutes each day just to make sure it's okay to tend to it, to water it, to feed it, just to nurture it. That's your time and you and it. You know, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be an immense garden. I didn't start with this. You know, this wasn't in my head. It just emerged. It just started taking on a life of its own.
Hmm.
But and sometimes the even just having a little pot plant is a reminder for us to stop, and it's a little self-care. Nurture that plant, that pot plant. Nurture yourself the way you nurture that pot plant.
I like
If it
that.
needs a bit of water,
I like
if it
that.
needs a bit of water, if it needs a little bit of watering, it's a little bit of droopy, the chances are you've neglected it. Are you neglecting yourself? Are you feeling a little droopy? Do you need a little something to pep you up? Do you need something to give you to revitalize you? You know, it's just that little thing. It doesn't need to be huge. Does not need to be huge. That's the start of it. Though I warn you, it's the start. It's
I
addictive.
love that. Nurture the plant like you nurture yourself. I love that,
Or
Janice. I
nurture you
love that.
or nurture yourself what the way you nurture the plant,
Okay.
because we can forget about ourselves. We will nurture that plant, make sure you can see it's wilting, you can see it needs something, but you don't see it in yourself.
That's so true.
You
That's
don't
so
see it in
true.
yourself.
That's so true. That's so true. And I see in the chat people are saying hello, and I just want to say hello to everyone. I see a question came in
Yes.
about I'm in the southeast. Is yellow squash and pumpkin squash okay to plant now? So, what advice would you give to people about, like because in certain areas of the world, certain of the country, like some it's best to
Yeah.
plant certain things certain times of year. What resources would you point people to?
YouTubeversity.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's amazing how many programs are out there that plant growers are out there that have been your region. So if you're, because usually in the US you have garden zones like from 1 through to uh 12, 13, but that 12, 13 is like Puerto Rico and stuff. I think it goes down to about 10, 11 in Florida. So you have different gardening zones. So if you know, you can go onto some sites and say what gardening zone, gardening zone is X wherever you are. And if you could put into YouTube videos that gardening zone, you'll find people who are doing plants. I One of the things that was frustrating for me is that I couldn't find in the Caribbean
Mm.
many gardeners, and so I've had to rely on Florida. So I have my own little YouTube channel I've started called
Tell us
Caribbean
about it.
Garden Life.
Caribbean
The
Garden Life.
Caribbean
Okay.
Garden Life. So to share what I learned for this region. And now since then I've seen lots of other people pop up. There's like Jamaican, Trinidadian, Guyanese. So and we're all much of a muchness. So it's nice to see what they grow and take their tips. And there's
Mm.
so much to learn. Instagram's a great place as well. Same thing, Instagram, lots of Instagram gardeners and things like that. With pot plants or gardens or patios or balconies. Whatever you want, it's there.
Hmm. Have you noticed, Janice, that over time more Black people are getting into gardening? Have you noticed that?
Um, I think I have. I follow a lot of.
Hmm.
When I first started out, it was mostly, I suppose, to be white gardeners. I was looking at areas and stuff like that. But now I've got a few black gardeners I love, or homesteaders. Now I'm not. I suppose I've got a mini homestead when I think about all the food we grow and stuff. But there are a lot of black homesteaders out there now. People who have got a piece of land and decided they're going to live not necessarily off grid, because that's a
Hmm.
bit tough,
Yeah.
but but there are people out there. There are people. There's a Life on Promise View Acres, which I love as a young couple, young black couple. He ministers a little bit on it, but they're a beautiful couple. They just had a baby. They've got this beautiful plot of land. I'm like so envious with a lake on it and stuff like
Wow.
that. There's Andre the farmer. There's little people. There's Black Farm. There's a lot. There is a lot out there. A lot of us out there that are doing our own little bit, and
Hmm.
there are a lot. There's also, if you're into the medicinal side, I haven't quite got into that because I'm still working on the teas, but there are a
Hmm.
lot of medicinal properties that in some of the plants that get shared. Again, if you're looking for something more holistic in
Hmm.
what you're doing and things like that, there are also a lot of black people out there that are talking about how you can use plants to aid your health and stuff like that. So hence why my tea garden, because I grow lemon and lime basil. When we're used to the normal green basil we use for pesto, but
Hmm.
I discovered lemon basil, which when brewed
I
is
heard
like,
that.
oh my gosh, the most beautiful lemon tea. And it smells like lemons and it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So
Hmm.
moving into lemon mint because we have the normal spearmint, peppermint. I've just started to grow lemon mint from seed and they've just started to come up.
Wow.
So yes, so just to get away, I suppose to get away from my husband's going, says to me, in case because coffee's hella expensive now, even
Mm.
more for us because it's getting imported.
Hmm.
So can we drink herbal teas instead? So we're growing our own herbal teas. So
That's
lemongrass
beautiful.
and mint and peppermint and
Not only is it
spearmint
fresh,
and
it's cheaper, right?
yeah, it's cheaper,
And
it's
more
cheaper. And
accessible.
there's nothing more. And there's nothing more when I'm cooking to come out and just cook my own little herbs. Oh, I need some chives for the pot. Oh, I
Oh,
need
wow.
some thyme for the pot. I just come out and it's come and go on, come round, I snip, snip, and take what I need for my cooking.
Wow. And I see a comment from Tasha. She said, thank you and appreciate planting what you will actually eat. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, Janice, you want to share, as we're going to wind down soon, do you want to share a little bit about what you are exploring for the future in relation to gardening?
Yeah. Well, as you know, but some others may not know, I'm actually an executive coach. I was a CEO, one of the first female CEOs to head up the telecoms industry out here in Antigua, and I decided to leave the corporate world and be an entrepreneur in my 50s. I'm 60 now, and and I've been executive coach and I've been working with women over 50, black women over 50, to navigate career pivots. But what I'm finding as well, it's not just about the careers, it's also about navigating life post 50, after 50, empty nesting. Maybe, you want something different. Men, I want to say menopause, but menopause is such a huge topic that people don't realize how much impact it has. It changes so much about you. So, whilst I don't go into menopause, it's that transition, it's part of the transition into this next stage of life.
Mhm.
And as we're living a lot longer, when we imagine 50, 60 growing up, it was probably somebody sitting in the back of a chair somewhere, they're knitting and their feet cocked up. And I'm like, that is so not what I am at 60. That's not me. But how
Mhm.
can you make the best out of this life? How can you, this next 20 years, we're living longer?
Mhm.
Maybe we have to be working longer.
Mhm.
But how do you make that? How do you make that? How do you make that transition? Knowingly make that transition with making, not saying you're not going to make mistakes, but
Mhm.
you're making it from a place of clarity about what you want.
Mhm.
And what I've been finding is that I was doing it for a while, and the
Mhm.
gardening, I realized that I've always changed jobs, and the gardening started taking over more and more, more and more. I'm getting so much pleasure out of it. So I'm looking at how I can incorporate a lot more of that, some, almost garden therapy into my coaching, to show the synergies between, you know, growing something and growing what's inside of you. Just thought of that, and growing what's inside of you, and how I can also use it in corporate settings as well, because people, they write us off post 50, 60, even worse, they write you off.
Mhm.
You know that,
Mhm.
you know, you got to let the next generation come through, but there's so
Mhm.
much we still have to give. We
True.
just need to know, we just need to show how we can share it and what value we bring, and the
Mhm.
wisdom we bring with it. So I'm trying to incorporate a lot more of that into what I'm doing. And so, as I said, taking that time, to the same way you're nurturing that plant is the same way you're
Mhm.
nurturing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, right? And I think having a different, perception of getting older and what does that mean, and that
Mm,
we're constantly evolving and pivoting, and just everybody, if you haven't
yeah,
already known this, but I've interviewed Janice before. I think I've interviewed you twice, actually. So I've
yes,
interviewed
yeah,
twice on YouTube, and she's one of our bonus speakers from the Job Liberation Virtual Summit talking about pivoting after age 50 for Black women. So if you
yeah.
want to access one of the bonus sessions with Janice, you can get the replay by going to the description section of this video. Okay. So, Janice, when you are ready to talk more about launching what's coming next, you are
Yeah.
always invited to come back to my channel. And,
Thank
even
you.
thinking about ways that we might want to collaborate, because I was sharing with
Mm,
Janice that I'm constantly evolving as well. And I'm just thinking about additional ways that I want to support Black women in healing. And oh my God, a peach just literally fell. I literally said that the peaches are so ripe, they're falling, and literally a peach literally just fell. Okay. So I'm glad it didn't hit me in the head. But anyway, one of the ways that not only am I supporting Black women healing through the YouTube channel and other offerings and Masterclass, the summit, right? But I'm also helping to support Black women, I'm hoping, um, with other things I'm doing too, right? So Afro Flow
mm,
Yoga. But also, I'm really intrigued by what Janice was talking about, ways that gardening can be a form of healing for us as Black women. So I'm
mm,
exploring that avenue as well. So it's just so fascinating that Janice was talking about that. And it was like, what? What? Oh my goodness. So for me, I felt like that was a sign that I need to move forward and really exploring that. And I will continue to do the other work, but I'm exploring something as well. And that's exciting for me because I always like to learn new things.
mm,
So I'm
mm,
excited to talk about this more with Janice because we have a common interest. And I'm excited that everyone joined in today. If you were joining it live or you're watching the replay, that gardening can be an option for you. And again, we know there's so much going on in the world right now. And for many of us, life is lifing. Life is lifing.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
for me, I have to stay focused on what I have control over in this moment. And one of my really good sister friends was saying to me, you have to focus on what is the next right thing you can do each day, the next right thing, the next right
yeah.
thing. Because if you don't, you get focused so much on the big stuff, right? The big stuff that's not going
Mm,
right that you could start feeling helpless and hopeless. And I'm like, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that way. There's a lot going on. We know that, right? We need to stay informed. And let me say also that we know right now there is an all out attack on Black women. We know that.
mm,
Okay. And I would just say it's globally, but particularly in the United States, when we're seeing so
Yeah.
many Black women being laid off of their jobs, 300, more than 300,000 Black women being laid off in the past few months, we
Wow.
know that we're under attack. We see
Mm,
high profile Black women just being targeted. We see it, right? So we see it what's happening, but we also feel it in our own lives. And so we have to be very intentional in doing what we can to be well. And what that
yeah.
means is, like you said, Janice, we have to nurture ourselves. And whatever that might mean, if that is getting a plant and making sure that plant is watered, right? And making sure that you're watered too. So, what are you
Mm,
doing to water
mm,
yourself? And let me say this, make sure that we are mindful of protecting ourselves from toxins around us, right? So the
yeah.
toxins, are the news and all the other negative stuff. Make sure that we are mindful of those toxins and protecting those toxins from coming into our home, right? So in my home, I have a lot of snake plants, right? Because I heard the snake plants help to remove the toxins from your environment, right? And so for me, that was intentional because I've talked about this before that for me, my home is my sanctuary space. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was in that toxic job, I was very intentional about, I did not want to talk about that job in my home. Okay. That was before the
Mm,
pandemic. But then when the pandemic happened, dang it, I had to talk about the job. I had to do that. Okay. So, but now, the snake plants is still symbolic for me. Like, I don't want toxicity in my home. So just think about for you, what are some of the ways that you can create a space in your home so your
yeah.
sanctuary space. So if it's snake plants, whatever that is, but create a sanctuary space in your home, whatever that might look like. And even thinking about checking your circle, who you're associated with, because you can
Yeah.
have some
Yeah.
toxic people around you
Yeah.
who are energy vampires and who are just pulling you down. Okay. So just be mindful of who's in your circle, who's in your space, and who has access to you. Any last words you
Mm.
want to share before we wind down, Janice?
I was just going to say, when you said snake plant, that's the plant I was talking about, was Mom's plant. So it's the snake, it's the other name for it, the snake
Get
plant. So I
here.
had, yeah. So another
That's
connection.
amazing. That is amazing.
So, but in parting words, I mean, don't overthink it. When it comes to gardening, don't overthink it. Start with a pot, a little bit of soil, get a snipping for something. Even little cheap things like when you go to the supermarket and you buy your packet of basil, you buy your bunch of basil, put it in water and root it. You'll be quick how quick that roots,
Mhm.
and then you've got an instant plant. So don't overthink what it is. Just get up and do it and nurture it so you can nurture yourself.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Turn the notification bell. Please share this video with at least two other Black women. I'll see you all tomorrow for the Sunday Live. So, we're going to talk about privilege in the workplace. And again, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to Janice and Antigua, all the way over, all the way far, far away from me. But we're able to connect. And I love to see how Black women around the world were able to connect and talk about our common experiences and talk away about different ways that we can heal because our healing
Mm.
is so important. We have to value our healing, particularly when we know we're under attack. Okay. So thank you, everyone. And
Thanks,
I hope that
everyone.
everyone has a good day. And Janice, I'll see you later too. Okay. Bye,
Yeah, take care.
everyone. Bye.